What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to this evening's late night agenda. Thank you so much for giving up some of your night to come and have a chat with me. And I have a lot of thank yous to do early doors here. JC Galvanil, thank you, mate, for gifting 10 Anfield Agenda memberships. I see these things before I start, and it always makes me smile that people are so kind like that, mate. So thank you so much, JC. Also, Rachel Todd upgraded her membership to Anfield Agenda Ultras. Thank you so much, Rachel. Look forward to chatting with you in the Discord group. Tickle My Teabag also gifted 5 Anfield Agenda memberships. You guys are in fine form tonight. I appreciate it. And look, I won't lie, dude. Every time I say that account name, it does make me smile. Even though I should probably be a little bit, no, sir. It's a good name. I mean, I'm giving you credit. And also, thank you so much for the gifted memberships as well. So how are we all? Lots to talk about tonight. Thank you to everyone that joined me earlier on as well for the 4 p.m. stream and that watched the news video. And I get it. Look, I got to start off tonight by saying, I hear you. Some people don't want to talk about Mbappe. No problem. I'm with you. But I'm a dreamer. And I'm not the only one. Okay, you can see where that song is going. But we got to talk about it. We got to. It's so much. I get so much enjoyment out of dreaming about these type of things. Yeah, the Bellingham stuff didn't work out. But Kylian? Maybe. Just maybe. It's an off chance. But isn't that what life's about? We're supposed to dream. We're supposed to dream about quadruples. We're supposed to dream about never-ending Jurgen Klopp contract extensions. And we're supposed to dream about the best players in the world wanting to come and play football for our beloved football club. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to look at the situation. We're going to have some fun. We're going to run through some numbers. We're going to chat about what the hell we're all going to do over the next 10 or 11 days while there's no action for the Reds. And a few other bits and pieces. So a couple of things I want to just address before we start tonight. Obviously, you guys may be aware of the news dropped today over Sven-Göran Eriksson. Unfortunately, he has terminal cancer and he reckons less than a year left to live. So it's just incredibly sad to hear about that. And of course, we wish Mr. Sven-Göran Eriksson all the best. Also, Jadon Sancho, his loan deal to Borussia Dortmund has been concluded. You've probably seen that earlier on today as well. Dyer is going to Bayern Munich. That's been completed on a loan until the end of the season when he'll be out of contract. And there's lots of other bits and pieces today as well. Spurs bringing in that centre-back from Genoa that they beat Bayern Munich to the signing of. Dragusin, I believe his name is, Romanian international. Yeah, so the window's starting to trickle along now and deals are starting to happen. But of course, the question that we all have is, will we see any transfer business for Liverpool? And as I said to you, I don't know. Now, look, the Mbappe stuff aside, I don't know what the situation is with our transfer window, but the more I see the players like Bradley and hopefully Owen Beck gets a chance, the more dare I say, it's starting to think it's not the be-all and end-all if we don't do business in this month. Particularly if we have bigger fish to fry down the line. Now, we'll also be talking tonight about something that David Ornstein said regarding contract extensions for Virgil, Van Dijk, Mohamed Salah and Trent, which are a priority for the football club and hope to be addressed over the next few months. So loads to get us through, and then, of course, all the Mbappe stuff. Josh Taylor, thank you, mate. You're not the boxer, are you? Well, you wouldn't be on Australia if you were, but thank you. He said, just woke up in Australia, had to come and say, love you, love the community, love the content, keep up the great work, and best of luck this year. Thank you. Everything you've written, man, means a lot to me. Thank you so much. The last week or two, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the time of the year, but we've been getting loads of lovely messages, emails from people in different parts of the world telling us how they stumbled across the channel, but how they love our community of people. And it's so wonderful to read and see every day. It really just gives you the energy to push on. And to be part of people's lives like this, man, it just makes you smile. It's a beautiful thing to know that, you know, little old Anfield Agenda, we're in houses all around the world, or on people's devices and phones, and it means the world to us that you all tune in. So thank you for that, my man. And also, it's really weird thinking that you just woke up as well, like, because I'm sitting here now, it's 8:30 in the evening, and think that you're over in Australia and just arising for a new day, which is, I think, Friday for you now, if I'm not mistaken. Tickle My Teabag, thank you for upgrading your membership as well, dude, to Anfield Agenda Ultras. Appreciate you. Chris, I don't know if you're calling me a clown or not, mate, but I don't care. I'm in good mood, Chris, and I don't know if you're calling me a clown or not, but I don't really care either, mate, to be honest with you, because you're not getting me down from my little sunshine cloud that I'm on. Hope Mbappe ain't using us like Caicedo and Lavia did. So I don't think he is, because I don't think he needs to. Like, there's an offer there for Mbappe to just go to Madrid. I don't think he needs to use us to ingratiate himself to Madrid or their fans, to be honest with you. But look, it is. I don't know what the story is, but you've seen a lot of people. Like tonight, we'll be talking about the fact that even Guillaume Balaguer, he was starting to say that Liverpool are a serious contender, a serious option for Kylian Mbappe. At least, it gives us something to think about. Look, the likelihood is Madrid, of course. We're all rational human beings, but the longer it goes on, the less of a formality it looks like. You'd have to say that, we're at the table, and I'm going to give you some more information as to maybe why you could be, I don't want to say optimistic, but why you can see that it's potential. Right, what else we got? So, Chris, I'm giving you a chance, mate, to come in and talk about the clown emojis. I don't want to just kick you out straight away, Chris. I want to give you a chance to come in and justify what you're putting into the chat. What else is Craig? Love the content. Really, 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 really hope Mbappe comes to Liverpool. Thoughts, Oliver? I'm with you, dude. I really, 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 really hope Mbappe comes to Liverpool as well. And I've been up and down on this. I won't lie to you. My initial instinct was the same as everybody else's. Is he a troublemaker? Would he be a headache? But I can't answer those questions. But I tell you what, there's nobody that can say they wouldn't enjoy watching him if he was in a Liverpool shirt, and wouldn't enjoy what he'd bring to the team, wouldn't enjoy the moments that he'd give us, because the dude is an undoubted superstar. Rachel Todd, thank you for gifting a membership. Appreciate you. Could use it to haggle a better contract. Yeah, I guess. But I don't think, to be fair, Mbappe is going to be short of money. You look at Caicedo, which was the example that was given in the chat. So Caicedo's coming from South America, played with Brighton, and he wasn't on huge money at Brighton. So he has to think generations of his family, maybe a wider family. So you can see money becoming a motivating factor, or at least a factor in that decision for Caicedo. Can't really say the same, though, for Mbappe, who's already worth probably hundreds of millions. So I think his decision should be based on legacy in football. And look, there are two very good reasons to point out Real Madrid and think that he could go to Real Madrid, because they have a fine tradition of lifting European Cups, players winning Ballon d'Ors, but so do we. We have a fine tradition of Europe, and we've got one of the greatest managers in world football, and we know that there is a fondness for the Mbappe family in Liverpool, and that is extended back. So let's go through it and see what we all feel. Craig, the issue is our wage structure, which he would shatter. So it's a very fair point, and yeah, he would. He would. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that burden of having to pay for him is solely on the club. So I've given this example many times, and I guess maybe it's the only one I have to push back against this, but if Mbappe did come, it would most likely be in a situation where we've lost Mo. Let's be, like, I can't see a world where there's the two of them at Liverpool. I can't, I'd love it, but I can't see it. But there's also the situation of Nike in all of this. And I know that players have gone to play in clubs that wear other teams or other brands' jerseys. But there's no part of me inside that believes that Nike would be happier to see Kylian Mbappe in an Adidas Real Madrid shirt than they would to keep him in the Nike family. So yeah, he'll always wear the Nike boots or whatever, but ultimately he's in a PSG shirt now, which is part of the Nike family. I think that they would chip in to make it possible for him to come to Liverpool. Now, whether that's with better endorsement deals, whether that's with a cut of his shirt sales or image rights, I don't know. I'm not qualified to talk about that. But yes, some of that burden of wages would definitely have to be lifted off the football club for it to be possible. You can't get away from that, and it's a very fair point, and probably the biggest elephant in this room. There was a super chat there from Marcus. What number would Mbappe take if Lucho stays? Is it weird that I was actually having this conversation with Ben earlier on? So Ben feels that Mbappe would probably be more like the Cristiano Ronaldo in wanting that number 7. That 7 that he's used to. I don't know. You know, I look at Leo Messi as an example. Number 10 everywhere he's been. Goes to PSG and doesn't have the number 10 shirt, and that's okay. He still played football. It wasn't the end of the world. So would I be taking the number 7 off anybody to give it to Mbappe? No, I don't think I would. Unless the player steps forward to say, I wouldn't mind giving up the shirt. But what other number could he wear? Well, if Mohamed Salah was to move on, 11's available then. We have a number 10, obviously, in Alexis McAllister. So could you make an argument that he swaps shirts again? I don't know. But God, it'd be a great headache to have, wouldn't it? You know, if that's what we're worrying about. Right, I'm going through some comments just to see, because I wanted to be fair and give Chris a chance. I'm just reading through to see if he did perhaps give us an explanation for the clown emojis. Just to try and be fair to Chris, but I don't see one unless I've missed it. So, yeah, let me just deal with this and then we'll move on. Okay, I tried to be fair, Chris. I tried to give you a chance to explain, but it's okay, man. We move on. What's the actual news? What we're talking about. If you wanted boring stats only information on the players and the coaches and stuff, we did that at 4 o'clock. And I didn't mention Mbappe at 4 o'clock for that whole hour, because I promised you tonight would be when we'd start talking about the transfer stuff, and I'm a man of my word. So let's look into some of the stories then, doing the rounds today. Actually, I've got an update for you on Dominik Szoboszlai, and this coming from the man himself, not to us directly, but he was speaking to the Hungarian media. He said, they was talking about the Bournemouth game and would it be possible for him to be back for that game, and he said, yes, it is possible that I'll return against Bournemouth, but we don't want to rush anything. I'd rather miss one more match if that's what it takes, so that I don't injure the previous strain and can play continuously. Absolutely common sense. I mean, I don't think any of us would have any issues with that one. We want Dominik Szoboszlai back, but we want him back and fit. So absolutely no problems there. So now we move on to something I actually forgot to mention earlier on, and that was the whole stuff about Mikel Antonio speaking on the Footballer podcast, I think the name of it is. And he said, I don't want them to win the league because of their fans get lost. So let me just reply to Mikel Antonio, if I may, who I have nothing but respect for as a footballer, as a fella. I've always rooted for Antonio because he's kind of been like a bit of an underdog story. But for him to start having a pop at Liverpool fans, I guess I'd push back to say, Mikel, you were the one giving it Billy Big, you know what, when you were talking about coming to Anfield and doing this and doing that and talking about Liverpool and you did nothing, mate. You came there and you left with your tail between your legs because you weren't up to the fight at the time and you were outclassed by a better team. So if you, Mikel, really do prefer to see, let's say, Manchester City and those 115 charges hanging over their heads who could be destroying the sport that you play in a league where you ply your trade in, and could be pulling the wool over everybody's eyes, and you would still rather that the potential cheats win the league over a club like Liverpool, let's say, who are trying to do things in the right way, then that speaks more about you, sir, than it does about the Liverpool fan base, because your sport, your league, could be ruined by the cheating, potentially, of others. So, for all the footballing ability that Mr. Antonio does have, maybe sometimes upstairs things aren't always firing on all cylinders. So if we win the league, it's only going to get worse for you, dude, because you opened your trap again. The best thing for you to learn to do around this is to just say nothing and hope that we don't do it. Because now, mate, it's only going to intensify. But maybe that's what you wanted. I don't know. But just stop talking about us. Focus on what you're doing with West Ham. Good club, going in the right direction. And if you act really nicely, mate, maybe we won't take Jared Bowen. But keep talking, and you never know. Antonio's just jealous. It's very weird. I don't get it. Like, he's the one who gives it all this about us and coming to Anfield and all. And he can't take it when it's put back on him? He starts talking about, stay out of me DMs and all this. Dude, just stop talking. Just play football. Right, some comments to get back through. Josh said, if Mo doesn't leave, what number does Mbappe wear? Ooh. That's... I don't know. If Mo doesn't leave, what number does Mbappe wear? Ooh. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I'm quickly trying to go through all the squad numbers. No idea. I'm sure we'd figure it out. And God, imagine that, look, I don't even dare dream about that for a second, by the way. The idea of having Mohamed Salah and Kylian Mbappe in the same team, even for a short period. Wow. But, yeah, look, if that was to happen, the shirt numbers would be the last thing we'd need to be worried about, right? We'd be all walking on cloud 9. Craig, it's Nike's not Nike. It's look, I don't even know what it is, mate. And I don't even know how I say it. Sometimes I'll say Nike, sometimes I'll say Nike, sometimes I'll say Adidas, sometimes I'll say Adidas. I don't really have any rhyme or reason as to why I say one over the other. I think it's how I structure the sentence. Am I going to watch the NFL wildcard this weekend? Oh, I'll be watching it all, mate. Absolutely. Loads of good games coming up. So 100% I'll be watching the NFL this weekend. Right, some more comments. We haven't even got into the Mbappe stuff yet, so strap yourselves in, because I'm about to start. So, this comes from L'Equipe, and for anybody who ever doubted what I've said about Mbappe and John W. Henry, would you like cream with the humble pie you're about to eat? So, Liverpool have reportedly never broken contact with Kylian Mbappe's entourage. That's according to French publication L'Equipe, who are reporting Mbappe is leaning towards moving away from PSG. The report goes on to say the courtship that the Reds paid to the striker when he was still in Monaco has never been forgotten, and neither have the discussions in the shareholders' private plane. And if Carlo Ancelotti is a popular coach, so is Jurgen Klopp. I told you about the plane trip. I told you about the contact over the last 5 years. And people laugh at me as always, but I know my onions. And when I talk about these things, it's because I have it on good authority that it happened. And he himself has obviously spoke about this. So I'm not sitting here trying to claim like I'm some inside source. I'm not. But I dig deep enough and read up enough to try and find out these things so I don't just sound like a fool all the time. So another article today said, according to reports, PSG superstar Kylian Mbappe is causing internal war from the interest from Liverpool and Real Madrid. It just keeps going. It keeps going and keeps going, and the stories are coming. Guillaume Balaguer has now spoken about it, and he has laid out exactly why Liverpool are in the Kylian Mbappe equation right now. Kylian Mbappe could well leave Paris Saint-Germain on a free this summer. That will naturally have every club on the planet wanting to sign him, and Liverpool are certainly in and amongst those clubs. So it just keeps going and going and going, and maybe we're being strung along. Maybe we are. But what harm? What harm at this moment in time? Liverpool's name being linked with Kylian Mbappe is surely a good thing for the club, for the profile, for the fans to dream. And yet, nothing may happen, and yet we might end up with no Mbappe. But God, you can't tell me it doesn't make you feel good to see the club linked with him, because it definitely does me. An exit for Jota if Mbappe was to come, Craig. Well, if you look at the media, the two most likely candidates for a Liverpool departure in attack, not me saying this by the way, were reported to be Gakpo and Diaz. So, I don't know who would be more likely, and I don't want to wish any of our forwards away either, by the way, because I very much like the collection of forwards that we have at the football club. But you would think if he did come in, it's to replace somebody. And the most likely somebody would be Mohamed Salah. But that's in the situation where Mo doesn't extend. I don't know what to expect from that at the minute, because obviously he's away at the AFCON now with Egypt. So there's going to be no communication or conversation over signings at this time. And then we're getting towards the summer, and you're getting into the business end of the season where you probably don't want to distract them either. So it's a difficult situation right now, and I've said this numerous times. I think this is the most difficult decision the club have had to make. since FSG took over as owners. Honestly, I feel like weighing up what way to approach and deal with the contract situation we find ourselves in with Mo is incredibly difficult, because there are really valid points to be made on every side of it. Give him a new deal. Of course there's validity to that. Of course there's validity to it. Sell him. You can't say there isn't validity to that if you look to the long term. And I want to give you a bit of context today. So Newcastle's chief executive was speaking about the fact that some of their high-profile players may indeed have to be sold down the line to turn over funds to allow Newcastle to continue to go on and strengthen. And one of the examples he gave was Liverpool selling Felipe Coutinho, allowing us to be able to then go and buy Alisson Becker and Virgil van Dijk. So that's another aspect that I think we as Liverpool fans need to consider. Of course you don't want to lose Mohamed Salah. Of course you don't. But you know what's worse than losing Mohamed Salah? Losing him for free. And that's the part that I just don't want to happen. Yeah, an extension, no issues. But getting in towards the last year makes me very, very nervous, because the longer it goes on, the more the ball's in the players' court. The more, it's their decision to make. And we all assume it would be Saudi or nothing. But just imagine a world where he runs it down, leaves for free, and goes to another European club, which could be possible. That would hurt. So the whole situation with Mo is the key to everything right now. Now, David Ornstein was speaking about Liverpool's most likely next contract renewals. And of course, the three big names that he mentioned are the three that we all obviously think about. Virgil van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Mohamed Salah. You would imagine the Trent one, it's certainly a priority, and there's no argument about extending Trent. Age profile, future captain, starting to blossom even more as a player. That's the club that's a priority. They'll get that done, and Trent stays where he belongs. Virg, again, as Liverpool captain, you would imagine that that's going to be hopefully a fairly straightforward conversation. But you also can't just ignore the age. And we know our owners have been reticent to give longer extensions to people over the age of 30. There was some exceptions, of course, for Henderson and Milner, but ultimately, would you look back at those and say that it was an unmitigated success? Maybe with Milner you could say, yeah. With Henderson, in my opinion, it just ended up being thrown back in the club's face when he wanted to go to Saudi. So I don't know what's going to happen with Mo. But I know I don't like not knowing. And I know I don't like the uncertainty. So how are you feeling about it? Like, if I said to you right now, you have the keys to the kingdom, you are John W. Henry, what are you doing? Because I have no doubt Jurgen wants to keep Mo. Of course. Why wouldn't he? He knows he can rely on Mo. He knows he's a superstar who stays fit, who lives the life, who's a supreme athlete, who's a wonderful human being. No doubts the manager will want to keep him. But the manager doesn't sign the checks. So I'm interested to know what you think John W. Henry and FSG will do. I don't see Mo wanting to join the Saudi League to play in front of 300 fans. I think that's a fair point, Chris. I think that is a very fair point. And I think I don't want to ridicule another country's footballing league. I don't want to do it. But I think there are certain players who may work. And look, for Mo going to Saudi, culturally, it's probably not going to be as big of a shock to him as it would be for, let's say, a man from Ireland or England to move over to Saudi, to get to grips with the culture, with the laws, the way the day-to-day lives of people over there live. And for Mo, or maybe maybe practicing Muslims, as an example, maybe like Karim Benzema or N'Golo Kante, maybe for these guys, it's an easier transition. So what I don't like, though, is to hear this nonsense that it's a shock to the likes of Henderson or other players who go over there and realise that, oh, what, it's warm? Really? In Saudi Arabia? It's warm? This stuff is weird. What's the front three if Mbappe joins? So, for me, if Mbappe joins, it means there's no Salah. So, I'm going to give you an answer because you asked a specific question. Darwin, Mbappe, probably Diaz, but yeah, Darwin, Mbappe, Diaz would probably be the answer. Now, how you line them up, I guess maybe you'd have to look at who goes to the right-hand side. If I'm John W. Henry, I'm asking Klopp what he wants. I'm also asking Mo what he wants. Absolutely fair point, Carson. Now, let's say Mo said... Actually, so I'm going to ask an even more blunt question by means of a poll, so bear with me. Sorry. Right, so I'm going to ask you this, but I'm going to give you context before I post the poll. It would be highly unusual for a player to renew their contract and not get a pay rise. So the question I'm going to ask you in the chat is, if you're John W. Henry and you're sitting down with Rami Abbas and you're sitting down with Mohamed Salah, and we can have this conversation about Virgil in a while as well if you want, do you think that he deserves a pay increase, Mo, from what he's on now? The poll's up, it's a yes or no. So, not do you think he deserves an extension, do you think he deserves a pay increase as part of that extension at what will be 32 years of age at the end of the season? Because I'm going to be honest and say I don't. I've no problem extending him, and I've said many times, for the club wage structures to be broken for him, it was the right person. Nobody has earned it more than he has. But right now, do I feel like he's getting better and deserves more money? I don't. I feel like he should get the same money. I don't expect him to have a pay cut, but I wouldn't be lumping a load more money at him. So, if Mo was to extend in an ideal world for me, it would be 2 more years on the wage structure and the bonuses that he's on now. And if he was happy to do that, I'd lash the contract in front of him and say, sign away, Mohamed. You've earned every penny of it. But if he's looking for, let's say, an increase or the basic to go up to $500,000 a week or something, I don't think it's value. I just don't. I know these are horrible conversations, and I get in trouble a lot of the time because people think that I'm trying to undermine Mo. I'm not. I'm just trying to be honest about the health of the football club and the trajectory that we're going. And, you know, if we had owners that were like Todd Bowley or other clubs, and we didn't have to consider every goddamn million and $500,000, I'd probably think differently. But we aren't that club. We've never been that club. And I can't help but look back at situations like Aubameyang, Ozil. Now look, Mo ain't those guys. But these last-ditch high-level contracts, they just don't strike me as good business for football clubs. And holding on to a player too long is probably worse than letting him go too early, in my opinion. But that's the business side of it. The emotional side of it, you want Mo to stay, don't you? Of course you do. Right, so let's have a look at the poll. Does Salah deserve a pay increase? So far, I'm going to leave this up for a while, by the way. So far, 63% of people say no, he doesn't deserve a pay increase. Now, some people will call you haters for that, but I like to think it's rational thinking. Now, I guess we're going to have to talk about the situation with Virgil van Dijk as well. Because with Van Dijk, we have a similar situation. Same age profile, similar contract situation, similarly important role at the football club, as in one of the mainstays of the team, one of the spine of the team. You think Alisson, Van Dijk, Salah, you know, that spine of this Liverpool team. But I'd have the same stance with Virg. I wouldn't be giving Virgil van Dijk a pay rise from, like, you know, you want your captain to be probably always near the top of the earners at the football club. And that's fair. Henderson always had a high pay. And I think Virgil deserves that. But if he's on about 200 odd grand a week now, do I think Virgil is worth giving another pay increase to? I don't know. I don't think so. I think, again, I'd have a similar mindset with the way that the Mohamed Salah conversation is going. Business and performance wise, says AAA, he doesn't deserve it. It's so hard to say that though, isn't it? Like, there are a lot of stats that will show Mo is still doing lots of great things, and he is. But I think it's fair to say there'll also be some stats to show that the output isn't the same in certain areas. So it is a tough conversation to have. And I'd rather let somebody go than maybe in a year's time being sitting here. Because I tell you what I don't want to happen. I don't want Liverpool fans, and I definitely include myself in this, to ever look at Mo in a year's time and go, I wish it's not working out this. The club are stuck with a high earner on a load of money. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want that memory of Mo. I want to look back and only ever think positively about Mo at the club. So if that means we have to move him on and be a bit ruthless, well, okay, that's life, I guess. Somebody said something about Hackney. 1 second. Sorry, I was just roasting. I was just making sure they turned off the heating. So yeah, somebody said Hackney bid. I don't know if it's true, but we've been linked with them. And there was an article that we mentioned earlier on that said that Liverpool have certainly opened a conversation about the Middlesbrough youngster. But there was a load of clubs linked in the article as well. Obviously, he came to prominence to a lot of us recently because of the victory over Chelsea. And I think, did he score the goal in that game as well? I didn't actually watch it, so I don't know. But that article does exist, yes. I just don't know how truthful it is or how serious our interest is. Any news about Carvalho? Yeah, he's in Hull. It's done. He's gone on loan there, mate, for the remainder of the season. He's already been pictured in the Hull kit and everything. I think it was yesterday that broke, actually. But yeah, Fabio Carvalho has gone on loan to Hull for the remainder of the campaign. Players like Mbappe and Neymar are problematic. I don't think it would work. So I definitely wouldn't be lumping Mbappe into the Neymar category. For one, he's a lot less likely to be injured. And whatever you think about Mbappe, look at his numbers. The man scores a lot. And I think, whilst there's validity to your concern, I wouldn't put them two together. I think you definitely get a lot more output from Mbappe. Liverpool builds superstars, we don't buy them just to flex. Yeah, but we're not buying anyone. So, like, your argument is, there's a point to it, but it's also just a soundbite. So, Liverpool don't buy superstars, we build them. Okay, we brought in Thiago. And nobody can say Thiago Alcantara wasn't a very, 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 very high-profile player. Now, you'll say to me, Craig, he only cost X amount. And I'm going to say to you, well, Mbappe's technically on a free. So it's not like we're having to see John W. Henry cut a cheque for $250 million. So I get where you're coming from. And yes, we have been a club that have made players into superstars. But, you know, we have signed players for big sums of money who have already proven themselves elsewhere as well. Virgil, okay. Southampton, perhaps. Alisson, Roma, Champions League semi-finalist. Darwin, Benfica, big money. So, yeah, but the days of dropping into the lower leagues and finding yourselves superstars are slim and far between, or few and far between these days. So, Liverpool Football Club does have to act like a big football club as well. And part of that, whether we want to accept it or not, is merchandising, branding, and growing the profile of the football club around the world. And nobody convinced me that Kylian Mbappe coming to Liverpool would not increase the eyes on the club tenfold. Liverpool would love him like no other. And that, Alwi, that, my friend, would be my pitch to the player. You can go to Real Madrid and you may win stuff. You may win a Ballon d'Or. You'll probably win a European Cup. But will you really be idolised and loved? No matter what. Because you'll be idolised and loved while it's going well. But can you say that that adoration is going to stay there? Because I tell you what, like Alwi just said, if you come to Liverpool, you're going to be idolised, mate. And you are going to have some fun playing for this football club under this manager. And also look at what's happening now at Real Madrid and the project that they have there. You know, does Mbappe fit in with that project? You know, is he going to have a battle of egos in that dressing room with other players? Now, I don't know these guys, so I don't know. But they've brought in Bellingham, they've got Vini, they've got Rodrigo. They're going to bring in, by the looks of it, what's the dude's name? From Davies, from Bayern Munich. They've got Camavinga, Tchouameni. So, I don't know if he'll... I also don't know where the hell they play him, because they've got Endra coming in as well. So, I honestly, from a footballing project, I think Liverpool's a better fit. But from a brand awareness thing, yeah, look, moving to Madrid certainly gonna give you that lifestyle. Gonna give you the Billy Big Bollocks kind of superstar. But it's about legacy as well. And he's going to be a multi-millionaire for the rest of his life, no matter where he is. So if he wanted money to say to PSG, I guess, already gone over to Saudi when that offer came in. Have you seen Real Madrid have turned to Osimhen? No, I did see that they've certainly started talking about Haaland a lot more in Real Madrid. There's been a few articles written about that said, and to quote it, his name has been mentioned more in the halls of Madrid. But I don't know whether that's a warning to Mbappe or whether there is real interest there. Because remember, Haaland has a buyout clause. So it's all easy for us to sit here and say he won't leave Manchester City, they'll throw money at him. He knows Manchester City's a tin pot soulless club. He knows that there's probably some skullduggery going on there. And there isn't one part of me that doesn't believe that Haaland's going to leave Manchester City in a few years. I'd never, ever, ever envisioned he's going to stay there for 6, 7, 8 years. I felt like it was on his bucket list and he wanted to follow in his dad's footsteps. And yes, I believe there was a connection with the club to some extent. But he knows. He knows that they're not a big club. He knows. You know, I know, and whatever else they want to talk about to the contrary, they're not a big club. They are an inflated, hyped up club that nobody really supports outside of the hardcore fans. And that's, I don't think, debatable when you see the parades and look at Liverpool winning the Champions League. And look at the parade. Look at 2005. Look back at that and tell me that wouldn't appeal to anybody. You want to be dead inside for those images not to make you go, oh my God, holy shit. Plus, he kind of won what he needed to win there. Our opinions about it is beside the point. He did. He went there and he's delivered a European Cup for Manchester City, as well as the Club World Cup and everything that they won last year as well. So yeah, you could look at it that way as well and say, job done. But I don't know. Look, I know there's so many people coming into the chat and laughing at us, and I get where you're coming from. I'm not an idiot. But God, I'm excited by the possibility of it. And at least being in the conversation, like genuinely in the conversation. It looks like it's a two-way race. It looks like it's Real Madrid or Liverpool. And however strongly you think it's more likely to be Real Madrid, still, we're there. Like, we're... I'm going to leave that poll up about Salah and the pay increase, because it is closing. I did ask you earlier on, does he deserve a pay increase? And so far, it's still no, but it's closing. It's 56% of people now think he doesn't deserve a pay increase. When do you think we'll get news on Mbappe and Mo's future? I don't know on the Mbappe one. See, I don't know. I don't know even if he agrees something and he signs it when it breaks. Because remember, he doesn't have to tell PSG. Same way anybody in the last 6 months of the contract at Liverpool don't have to tell Liverpool if they're signing for a club outside of England. You know, you're in your rights to sign a pre-contract agreement at that point. So I don't know when Mbappe makes his decision or when it's announced to the world. I've got a clue. On the Mo thing, you've got to get it done between, if you're looking to extend Mo, you've got to get it done between now and the end of the season. You don't want that going into the summer, because then the clock's ticking and the pressure's on, and the likelihood is that you're staring in the barrel of maybe losing Mo for free, and that's unforgivable to me to allow that to happen. So that's the pressing concern for us, is that contract renewal, not just for him, but for Virgil and for Trent as well. Craig, what's your choice? Mbappe or Bellingham? Same money. Bellingham. Yeah, because if you look at our team, you could see that spot for Bellingham in there. And he's added a lot of goals to his game. And look, I've always wanted Bellingham at Liverpool because I think the lad is just... I knew he was going to be what he is being at Real Madrid, which is a difference maker at the highest level. And again, I would add the age profile coming in here as well, because he's got, what, 6 years on Mbappe? So there's even that bigger potential down the line where you could have the kid at the club for, I don't know, 6 years and still sell him for a profit. Well, with Mbappe, if you had any thoughts of him moving on down the line, you're probably thinking 3 years and then cash in. So I'd probably side with the Bellingham stuff, to be honest. And that hurt, honestly. I know people like to slag me about it, but that was the transfer that I think I'll never understand why Liverpool did not go balls out to make that happen. That just... it frustrates me, especially when you see how much Madrid paid for him in the end. It's not like it was a fee we couldn't have afforded. So Jude said, Craig, what's this Mbappe crap? Well, you can enjoy a little time out. Show some fucking respect. You know? Come in and show some respect. Ask her a question with some semblance of respect on it and you'll get an answer the same. We need to snag Archie Gray. Yeah, we touched on him a little bit earlier on. I have to say, I only kind of found out about Archie Gray's name over the last 3 months. But when I've looked into him even more, Leeds have like in a Bellingham, I think a prodigy on their hands. And there's already talk that if they sell him in the summer, upwards of 40 million quid. So he's been linked to every top club in England. And he's certainly a player to keep an eye on because, you know, I'm not going to sit here and profess to know all that much about the kid, but he's certainly very highly thought of throughout the game and being... I don't think Leeds are going to be able to hang on to that kid for too long. I think he's going to have a big move, and getting that right move for him is going to be very important for him, his family, and of course his representatives to sit down and figure that out because, you know, whatever we think about the Bellingham situation, his family and his camp methodically mapped out what was going to happen, what the best move for him was. And listen, look, when he chose Dortmund over Manchester United, it wasn't because the family believed that Dortmund are necessarily a bigger, better club than United, but they believed in the vision of the plan to develop Bellingham at Dortmund and how well it was laid out and how well it was pitched to them. Were we not in for Dragusin looks top notch? The only two clubs I know about, Nick, were Bayern Munich and Spurs, and he chose Spurs over Bayern Munich. And they announced that signing tonight. Was about 26 million quid, something like that. So yeah, other than knowing that he has a man bun, I don't know too much about the lad, to be honest with you. I'm not going to sit here and say I've watched many Genoa games because I haven't. But we do have some Romanian football supporters in the chat who were saying that he's a good player and they're very happy that he's getting that big move to the Premier League. But they've signed, if he turns out to be good, sorry, I just want to readjust in the seat. If he signed out to be good, Dragusin, he looks like he's, it looks like Spurs have brought in some good young centre-backs. Just Van de Ven, I know he's out injured, but until he got injured, he looked like the real deal. Uh, Madrid is going to offer for Haaland in the next market. I think they will, but they could have a problem with Endrick there because it was reported, and of course I don't know this to be a fact, but it was widely reported that there was an agreement with Endrick's camp when Madrid signed him that they wouldn't go after Haaland because there was a concern, apparently, from Endrick's side that might stunt his progression at Real Madrid. Now, if you're asking me what I'd do in Real Madrid's shoes, would I go for Mbappe or Haaland? 100% Haaland. Every day of the week, because I think it's what they need. They had a Benzema scoring tons of goals. They had a Ronaldo scoring tons of goals. Now they've got great wide players, great attacking talent, but they really are crying out for a Haaland, an absolute goal poacher, and they are at a minimum in world football at the minute. So I think if I'm Carlo Ancelotti or I'm the people at Real Madrid, I'd certainly look at Haaland over Mbappe. Would you pay 35 to 45 million for Robinson? The kid from Fulham. It's a difficult question to answer because we have to look at it from the perspective of us still having Andy Robertson and newly renewed Kostas Tsimikas on the books as well. And Robinson is 26, so it's not like he's a young kid who we can say, bring through after Robbo leaves. So if we moved on Kostas, I think I probably want to pay a little bit lower than that, to be honest with you, than certainly the 45 million. But I can't say I haven't been massively impressed by the lad when I've watched him play against us. But I think Conor Bradley did very well against them as well yesterday. What's the percentage chance we get Mbappe, do you think? Honestly, less than 10, probably. I'm like, as much as I'm talking about it, I'm not sitting here trying to convince anyone that it's happening, but I am trying to say that it is a realistic possibility. How slight of a chance? Look, if you said to me, Craig, he's not going to go to Madrid, what's the chances of him coming to Liverpool? I'd probably say 50%. But whilst Madrid are still looming over, I would have to admit, with like everybody else, that I think that they are absolutely the most likely. Hi Craig, I live in Italy. I think the pace of the Premier League will find out. Dragusin. Well, look, Italy is a league that I will always think of as being tactically, defensively, really one of the best. Italy and the way they defend and the way they've coached players to defend has been phenomenal for many, 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 many years. The Premier League definitely is a step up with regards to pace. And certainly the way Spurs play, it's, Ange likes Spurs to play relentless, quick pace, non-stop. So I'm going to be an interested observer to how he settles because I honestly know nothing about the kid. But let's wait and see how he gets on. Like, it's a reasonable transfer fee for Spurs, 26 odd million quid. He will probably just stay at PSG. You see, there, I believe that's even less likely than him joining us, believe it or not. Now, again, I say this looking at legacy. So if I'm Mbappe and I'm at PSG, I've seen Neymar come not really change much there other than winning, the domestic stuff. I've seen them throw money at the likes of Donnarumma. I've seen Ramos come in, Messi come in. I've seen them try everything they can do with money and a never-ending amount of it to build this team that's going to go and deliver that European Cup, and they failed. So if I'm Kylian Mbappe now and I've already given good service to PSG and I've probably already stayed longer than I should have, am I going to stay there and still think I can win a Ballon d'Or in a Champions League? Nope. And that's the honest answer. I don't think they're going to do it, especially not the way they are now. I think they're falling further away from getting to those goals. So they shouldn't even be getting through to the group. They should have been knocked out by Newcastle in the group stage of the Champions League. So I don't know if he has any real desire for legacy. The man's won a World Cup. if he doesn't finish his career with a Champions League and a Ballon d'Or, it's some waste, honestly. Craig Mbappe, but Mo leaves or Mo renews, and Elise is a long-term replacement. Elise is a perfect shout. The only concern I think I'd have over Elise is that he's picked up a few little muscle strains recently. But I'm with you. I think most of the chat might be with you on that as well. Michael Elise at about £60 million would be great business for anybody, Liverpool or anybody else, because the young man looks like a wonderful player. And if we did lose Mo, or even just to bring in for competition and rotation in the summer, it would just be a great signing, because he's proved it in the Premier League with Palace. He's getting better and better. And I think £60 million would be a fair fee to pay for somebody who's already accustomed to the league and still has more development still to come in his game. So yeah, I think that would be fine. I love Elise. I think he's brilliant. How am I? Said Michael. I'm good, Michael. Yeah, I'm good, my man. Oh, one sec. So, Mark just sent me something from Dave Cop saying, Liverpool looking to end Billy Comedio's loan. Billy Comedio has reportedly stopped participating in training for French second division club USL Dunkirk and is not involved with the club. 21-year-old joined in the summer on loan, but now it seems that it's all gone wrong for the defender. It's unfortunate there have been some of our loan players who, for whatever reasons, haven't really been able to establish themselves at the clubs that they were at. You know, some of them have worked out really well. You talk to Dundee fans about Owen Beck, they love him. You see Tyler Morton and what he's doing, a whole really good there, getting regular game time. But then you've seen the Carvalho thing to Leipzig, that didn't work out. Now he's gone to Hull. You've seen Calvin Ramsey at Preston because of injuries and stop-start nature of his career. He didn't really get much of a look in there. So to hear that, I mean, I'm going to be honest. When I hear Liverpool are loaning out players to second division French teams, there's not one single part of me that then believes this lad has a future at the football club. Because if we're loaning players out to a second division French team, I want this lad to be the best player in that league, not just in the team. And there's a lot of players that I think we need to cut ties with and just like find clubs for. Nat Phillips, Reece Williams, Billy Comedio. These are players that, let's be honest, we don't really see as having a future at Liverpool Football Club. And Reece Williams will be another one of those who's loaned up at Aberdeen, didn't go very well either. I support Man United, but I love watching your shows. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Danny. Appreciate that, my man. And join us on Top of the League, Danny, on Sunday. Myself and Ben are going to do the watch along of your game against Spurs on our second channel. Also, I want to give a shout out to our Clips channel where we've got loads of people in the chat. There's 1,900 people. We've gone over 2,000 tonight already. If you guys can, please do check out the new Anfield Agenda Clips channel, where all the funny moments, outtakes, short clips, rants, all that stuff, they're going to be going up on the Clips channel. Makes it cleaner and easier for you guys to know what the shorter form content is as well. So if you do check out, there's a link in the description, and we'd love you to subscribe to that. And also, again, the Boston show in America, first time outside of Ireland for the show, second show ever actually only. We'd love to see you over there. It's at the iconic House of Blues Foundation Room, which is the smaller venue in there. It's right across from Fenway Park in Boston, 22nd of March. Tickets are on sale at Ticketmaster. And that's the most surreal sentence, by the way, to say as a working class normal fella from Ireland. Tickets are on sale at Ticketmaster just sounds so weird. But if you are in that neck of the woods, we'd love to see you as well. You're the GOAT, love from the Philippines. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate. Do you know what, mate? There's so many Filipinos in Ireland, and I've yet to meet one that isn't a sound person and a lovely guy or lady. So much love to your country, mate. You guys export a lot of Filipinos around the world for work and whatnot. But I tell you what, they're a great group of people, and any Filipino people, men or women I've ever spoken to over the years have been just wonderful, warm, friendly people. So much love to you, my man. Thank you for watching. Bro needs 1 million subs. All the work he's been doing for us Liverpool fans. I tell you what, I'd take 250k, my man. I don't know if a Liverpool channel can ever get 1 million subs. I don't know if it's ever possible. And it's not something I've ever thought about either, to be honest, for us. But I won't lie, I'm obsessed with trying to get to 250k because, you know, it's amazing. Our goal when we started the channel was 5 to 10,000 subscribers. And this is just surreal stuff, honestly. The numbers we do these days, I don't know how it's happened or why, but we're very grateful for it. South Africa's in the house as well. Love that. WR9, thank you, dude. More chance of Elton John getting a wife than us signing Mbappe. I'd say statistically that's probably not true, mate, in all honesty. You can do it, just say consistent, 250k. I look at it this way. If Redmen didn't do it, and Redmen were, I think, the first fan channel, certainly the first Liverpool, but I think they were one of the original fan channels. So if they couldn't do it in the 12 or 13 years or whatever it is those guys have been going, and they seem to have hit around, they're over 500,000, but they've been in and around that for a while. So if they couldn't do it, I don't know if us coming in later has any chance to do it. So again, I'm not saying anything derogatory there about Redmen at all. I'm just using the comparison as they're the most subscribed to Liverpool fan channel. So if they couldn't do it, I don't know if we'll ever do it. But sure, I didn't think we'd ever do this either. So Las Vegas, big fan. Thank you, Sonny. Going to be in Vegas by the looks of it in October, mate. And I'm deadly serious. Myself and Brian are going to have a lads trip. LFC USA. We're going to have a lads trip to Vegas. So if you're in that neck of the woods, we're not doing a show. We're just going to Vegas for to fulfill a lifelong dream of mine, to be honest with you. And my wife's never been interested in it, so she said go ahead if you want to go over. So October, if I'm going to be over there and you're in that neck of the woods, absolutely we'll have a session. I heard there's an off license or a liquor store over there doing good deals. Isn't that right, downtown Vegas? So as much as I don't really drink, man, absolutely we'd love to have a meal and catch up with everyone. So right, a lot of people again asking about Mbappe, and you're damn right too, because it's a beautiful story. So let's give you some more of the stuff again. So I can pull out 7, 8, 9 articles over the last 48 hours that solely just speak about Mbappe. So this one here, coming from L'Equipe, just reiterates what I've told you guys before. The article says the courtship that the Reds paid to the striker when he was still at Monaco has never been forgotten, and neither have the discussions in the shareholders' private plane. Remember, I did tell you John W. Henry brought him on a plane trip and tried to convince him to sign for Liverpool when he was at Monaco. And if Real Madrid manager Carlo Ancelotti is a popular coach, so is Jurgen Klopp. And that comes from L'Equipe. Another article said Liverpool linked with Mbappe causes internal war with 112 million Chelsea and Arsenal the main alternative. They say that it's causing trouble inside the corridors of PSG. Guillaume Balaguer has laid out why Liverpool are in the Kylian Mbappe equation right now. And again, Guillaume Balaguer is one of the voices of Spanish football, and even he's admitting that Liverpool are in the equation. So whatever we all think, and however unrealistic it is, you got to ask yourself a simple question. Why did John W. Henry bring Mbappe on his plane at that time? Why has John W. Henry kept in contact and Liverpool with Mbappe's family and kept good relations? Why? You wouldn't do it just for the sake of it. And also, and I can't say this clearly enough, if ever there was a time to strike and go for the player, it's now, when there's no $250 million transfer fee. Yes, there's a huge signing on fee. Yes, there's a huge wage. But you'd have to again think that hopefully Nike or merchandising or image rights or something else could help alleviate some of those wage concerns. Mike Keegan of the, I think is it the Mail, said cash-rich Saudi Pro League clubs are expected to increase the number of overseas players permitted in the competition from 8 to 10 in the summer. Now, this is a story that I spoke about with you guys a few weeks ago, if you remember. Such a rise is likely to come with an age restriction rule, which will see government-funded outfits switch their attention to the best players at academies in Europe, South America, and beyond. So, I'm going to be honest. I think they know it's not going to work. I think they know that all they'll get with the riches on offer is the lads at the end of their contracts, or perhaps people who haven't yet made money. Because whatever you say, and however much money you want to throw around, the Champions League is the be-all and end-all of club football. It just is. And Europe is where it's at. And it's going to be that way for a very, very, very long time. So I've never believed that the Saudi project is going to be realistic long term. And I look at it from the point of view how I look at their interaction in other sports. So boxing, they've been able to come in and provide a lot of money and opportunities and fights. But the atmosphere is shit. Really, really poor. And all the celebrities that they're paying to show up are just that. Paid actors to show up. It's not because they just want to be there. So when I hear people say things like, well, the Saudis are making the fights happen in boxing, that is true. But my next thought is, why has it taken the Saudis to make the fights happen? And this is a question I don't think the British public in particular ask enough. It's because of greed. So why couldn't Tyson Fury fight Alexander-Arnold in the UK or America? Why couldn't the big fights happen? Greed. That's all. And that's down to the greed of the fighters. And I don't see how the public don't see this. The only reason that they're happening in Saudi is because they're being paid so much money that they can't turn it down because it's such a ludicrous amount. It's just greed that's stopping this from happening. So I'm not somebody who wants to pat them on the back and say, oh, well done for making the fights happen to Saudi. I think, how are these boxers and also fucking greedy that you can't make enough money on pay-per-view in America or the UK to justify the fights? You're withholding the fights the public want to see out of greed and fear of losing your O. That disgusts me as a fan of the sport, because it shouldn't have to take Saudi to put an obscene amount of money on the table for these fights to happen. They should happen because they're the right fights to happen, and because that's what the sport's about. Same way in the UFC, they have a mechanism that makes the fights happen. It does my head in. Odds on Brighton versus Liverpool, 30th of March, 12:30 Sunday. I don't know where to go with that question, dude. Do you get where I'm coming from about that? That's not an anti-Saudi thing, by the way. That's an anti-the greed of the fighters thing for me. We all want fighters to get paid well. It's a dangerous sport and they're putting their lives on the line every time they get into the ring. But when I hear this notion that it could only be made because of Saudi, my head goes, no, it's only been made because your greed has been rewarded. I wish the English and the Irish and the American audience start questioning the athletes a bit more on this. I think, why aren't you why is 12 million not enough to fight AJ? Or it's just a weird thought process for me. Craig, Mohamed has changed the way he plays. Still great if you have a quick look at the passes he made. Oh, look, dude. Agree. I've said this many times about Mohamed Salah. He's definitely altered certain aspects of his game to change his evolving, I guess, physiological situation. He's brilliant at spotting the pass in the half space. I've talked about this loads of times where he drifts infield towards the edge of the 18-yard box and then will slip that ball in to either a Darwin or a Diaz or a Jota who will run across the front of the 6-yard box. Mo's defo added some new strings to his bow. And again, I'm not trying to make this out like I don't love Mo. I do, and I'd like to see him put centrally, because I think his days of being a wide player should be limited now. And like all the other greats, the Ronaldos, the Messis, they've evolved their game as they've gotten older. And I think if Mo does indeed stay around for the next few years, I'd like to see him central. But it's a good point you've made. He's definitely upped other aspects of his game, and his passing is underrated because he definitely has a great eye. I guess, when you're a forward who's as good as he is, you know where you want the ball. So you're probably, you know exactly where your teammates are going to want that ball as well, where you'd like the ball pulled for you. So, yeah, he's been brilliant at that. Thanks, Craig. Normally I tune in and watch the streams back every night. The best part is my day. Thanks for the content. Honestly, it is more than a pleasure, dude. It's an absolute honor to be able to do this every day. Not a chance we pay somebody £1 million a week. How much do we pay Mohamed Salah now, mate? Do you want to ask Rami Abbas how much Mo makes a week before you start being a fucking smart arse to me in my chat? Was it me that said Mohamed Salah makes £1 million a week, or was that his representative? I think he'll find that was his representative. So someone's paying him £1 million a week, because Rami Abbas said he gets paid £1 million a week all in. It wasn't me that said it. So if you want to hate, back it up like I do. I'll back up everything I say with examples or stories or my viewpoint of it. Coming in and being a smart arse and just saying it's not going to happen because I just want to be negative. Give me some reasoning. Happy to have the debate, my man. If you could get somebody from Liverpool on the channel, who would it be? Oh, lovely question. Probably Robbo. Yeah. I think I love Robbo's sense of humour. I think it'll probably be Andy Robertson. I'm going to stick with my answer on Robbo. Right, so Sunset Channel said, at £1 million a week, it'll be 52 million a year in wages. If we got him on a free, that's just 200 mil over 4 years. Can we not do that? Seems doable. So that's a very simplistic way to look at it. So think about it this way. The signing on fee would be a very significant part of any deal anywhere that Mbappe goes. So you would have to imagine probably €100 million of a signing on fee, which would be the money you'd probably get if you sold Mo. Then you look at the wage aspect, and it was reported that he wants, I think it was £1.25 million after tax. And if you take the tax for a Premier League footballer in the UK is about 47% roughly. So let's say he wants probably £7.5 million pre-tax a month. Is that possible for Liverpool to pay? Probably not. But as I've said all the way through this conversation, the burden probably isn't going to be on Liverpool to pay all of it. Whether you and I'm not clever enough to know the ins and outs of this, but whether you get Nike to give them, I don't know, a more generous brand deal, or the image rights has changed, or I don't know how these deals are calculated and done, but I think if it wasn't possible, it wouldn't be a conversation in the media, and it would be shot down very quickly by journalists who certainly know football finance far better than I'd ever claim to. And one great account that I would certainly suggest if you're on X to give a follow to is a gentleman by the name of Mo Chatra. I believe that Mo, I'm not sure if he still does, but he certainly was part of the team at Anfield Index. And Mo knows his onions with regards to football finance. And I remember reading something from his, might be quite a while ago now, to be honest with you, where he laid out a world in which it would be possible financially for Liverpool to make that jump to somebody like Mo. But also think about it this way, right? Rather than us looking at one player who earns huge money, look around other clubs where you'll see Saka on 300 or 350 grand a week at Arsenal. You would imagine Rice is on a big hefty pay as well. They've paid Ozil 400 odd grand a week. They did it with Aubameyang. United have a load of players on 500 grand a week, or 350 grand a week. Our highest paid player in the history of our football club right now is Mohamed Salah. And after him, I believe it's Virgil, Thiago on about 220, 200. Now, Liverpool Football Club are known for incentivising contracts and paying out pretty big bonuses for achievements. Somebody reported earlier on in our Discord that they think Diaz is on about 55 Gs a week, which sounds incredibly low. And people will initially say, but that's how do they do that? That's kind of been Liverpool's modus operandi over the last 10 years. Bring somebody like Diaz in on a reasonable fee, and if he proves himself, by the time he has his next contract extension, that 55 grand a week will jump up to, I don't know, 140, 150, whatever it is. So I'll give credit to FSG for that, because I think it's a very sustainable, realistic way to conduct business. Pay the players who prove that they've earned the money. Not lads you're just bringing in who come in then with this flash, arrogant thought process. No, earn the money and you'll get rewarded. I like that. I think that's a very reasonable way of doing business. Grizz said apparently we're in talks with Wolfsburg. I don't know. I guess what you're talking about, Lacroix there, is it? Well, look, of all the defenders we've been linked with in this window, he's the most reasonably priced. About 25 million, I think, is the number that Wolfsburg have been quoted as they would accept for him. And if you look at that against the 100 million euro for Antonio Silva, the 60 million euro for Gonzalo Inacio, or the 79 million euro or something like that for Diamonde, it's definitely the most reasonably priced of all the central defenders I've seen. What time is your Boston show on airtime? Midnight? I think, is it 4 I don't know with the time change if it's 4 or 5 hours. Boston are behind it. 7 p.m. for an 8 p.m. start is the doors for the Boston show. And also, it's an all ages event. Sorry, and I was confused where I was going with that. So if you are looking at the Boston show, everybody can go. So it doesn't matter what age bracket they're in. People who are 21 or older will be given a wristband and they'll be able to buy alcohol at the show. If not, you won't. So we learned our lesson on the Dublin show, because unfortunately my stupid ass booked a venue where it was 18 years or over, and it kind of, I guess, ruled out a lot of people who would have liked to come. Russian Honey Badger said, Craig wanted to say a thing that my dad tells me, and look, dads are full of great advice, mate. The only people who get criticised are those who are doing something, be that the internet or anything else, means you're doing something right, and people are jealous of what you have to do, or they have nothing to do. Sorry. Yeah, I nearly gave up. Here's just a real quick story. So I nearly gave up about, I think it was just before COVID. I nearly gave up the whole thing because the trolling was getting too much for me, and it was really getting me down. And that's when I was at the height of being on Twitter. So I was pretty active, and you know me, I'm a combative person. I don't hold back my thoughts if somebody has a pop. And I nearly gave up, and I sat down with my psychologist and we spoke about it all, and he said to me something that's always stuck with me. The people who get lucky in life are the people who put themselves out there and take a chance. And it rang through in my ears, and I just thought, yeah, I'm going to have to keep going, because I know what I'm doing it for, and I know why I'm doing it, and I know what I'm fighting for. And it stuck in my head. And what you said there kind of just reminded me of that a little bit. And that, yeah, there are times when you get shot down and laughed at, but there's a lot of other times where you receive really heartwarming, nice stuff. And I guess the world being the way it is now, a lot of people feel miserable and want to project their misery on others. And it's a sad state of affairs, and I hope it changes. Do you think a fast-paced right-back like Sacha Boey from Galatasaray would be a good fit in the long run to push Trent into midfield? So I think right now, Kareem, and I don't know much about that dude you're talking about from Galatasaray, but with Connor Bradley having had this little moment, and if he can keep that consistency up, and we haven't even really gotten to see Calvin Ramsey yet, I don't see right back as being a problem at the minute, because I'm all in on allowing Bradley to develop, and I hope that he can stay injury free. So I don't think we need a right back. And I don't think we particularly need a left back at the minute. And that's before we even get to have a look at Owen Beck, who I'm sure we'll get to see a little bit over the coming weeks. But I do think you're right about Trent in midfield. It feels to me like Jurgen wants that to happen at some point. It's just trying to make it the right timing. So yeah, for me, I think let's wait and see how Bradley gets on and see how Calvin Ramsey comes back from the injury concerns, because he's never we haven't got to see the dude since we brought him in from Aberdeen, really. What bull does Craig put up with? I don't know what that means, mate. If you're trying to make out like I don't get hater at him, these days it's a lot less. Daz, I'll give you that one, mate. You know, a lot more people I think have gotten to know me over the years now and think that, yeah, I say some stupid shit occasionally, but ultimately I'm a pretty straightforward fella. But that's because I've taken steps to remove some of it. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. I don't have the apps on my phone. I'm not on social media. And that was a tough decision to make because, you know, in our industry, you know, look at the lads who've made it big. A lot of them are big social media accounts, but I couldn't do it because I know I'd have to give up because it just got to me and it made me feel bad about myself and it made me feel bad about life and it made me angry. So, removing myself from that, and look, I'm sure I'm still getting slaughtered on there by people, but, you know, ignorance is bliss and that I don't see it. Sorry for the ping, but you missed my super chat from Got Cool. My apologies, Yannick. 1 second. Let me scroll back up. Yes, I did. Absolutely. Got Cool said, I was having such a tough day, but coming here made me smile. Thanks, Craig. Dude, that is awesome. Thank you. Thanks for sharing some positivity, man, because sometimes it's needed. But appreciate you, man. Thank you. It's a centre-back that's a priority. Do you know what has been really interesting? I've let this Mohamed Salah poll go, right? And now it's 50-50. It's very interesting because at the start when I initially did it, you remember, it was like 64% for Mo not to get a pay increase. Now, with 2,200 votes, it's even 50-50. 50% of people feel like he does. I'm going to end it there because I love that it's 50-50. There you go. So 50% of people feel Mo should have a pay increase. 50% of people don't. I've got to say, I'm of the mindset, no, for a pay increase. Yes, for an extension. Why do South American clubs charge so little for their players? Okay, this is going to sound like a shitty answer, but I feel like they're preyed upon by the richer European clubs at times. Because, you know, they just haven't got the resources that the clubs in Europe have. But I think you'll find over the years, and I've noticed this a little bit with League of Ireland clubs, I guess, not that there's much of a comparison there, but they're getting more clever about sell-on clauses and things like that they're adding in. So I feel like those days will be changing somewhat because it's definitely a market that a lot of clubs are looking to exploit now. And when you see deals like the one for Brighton for Barco for about $10 million, and then you've seen what they've done with Caicedo and stuff, yeah, sometimes it does look like they get shafted. And I guess that's where the conversation about the wealth of the game is a bigger one. If this Newcastle story is true, would you take Bruno? So the story, I guess you're referring to, Andy, is that they might have to sell some of their big players. And it's not like a media hype, and it was said by the CEO, who said, and used us as an example of selling Coutinho and how we reinvested that money to better the team in the longer run with Alisson and Van Dijk. To answer your question, would I take him? No, I wouldn't. I'd probably be more likely to look at Isak if you were looking at anybody from Newcastle. But what the CEO said probably won't go down well. But I do think there's some merit into what he said because, you know, he's given a good example. Sometimes you do have to take, if you're a club on the up and you want more, I guess you want more wiggle room for FFP and stuff as you build up the profile of your club, you probably do have to make some of those tricky decisions and then reinvest. Brighton are a great example of how they've done it as well. brought in players, sold them on for a load of money, brought in other players, and then, you know, the club are still maintained in a pretty good footing. What's your team of the year? I haven't really sat down and thought about it, mate. And I've seen the comment a couple of times in the chat, and I don't mean it to look like I'm ignoring it. I just don't know off the tip of my tongue. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a video I should make though over this little break. Where does the Irish League compare with the English game? I'm assuming lower tiers of England. Oh God, it's tough. Fucking hell. I think the fairest way is I'd compare the League of Ireland to the Scottish Premier League outside of the big clubs. So maybe the middle to lower half of the Scottish Premier League, I think, would be a somewhat fair comparison for the League of Ireland. Now, there are people who will watch a lot more League of Ireland football than I do, but I tell you what, it's certainly, there are some good teams playing some good football in the League of Ireland. We just don't have the resources or I guess the big leagues to really ever keep and develop the talent. I think $100 million for a fee for Mbappe is cheap for the best player in the world. I think so. Yeah. And look, if you did have to pay him a signing on fee and a big wage, remember, it's amortized over whatever the length of his contract is. It's not all that we have to pay it all in one go. Craig, taking a hockey game when you're in town, go Bruins. I don't like hockey, to be honest with you. But I'll tell you what we are doing. Who was it that asked the question? Patricia. We're going to see New England Revolution against Chicago. And I'm excited about that for a couple of reasons. Believe it or not, it'll be the second New England game I've gone to because I went to see them play against Orlando in Orlando. And I get to see the Gillette Stadium, which there's no NFL on when I'm over in Boston. So this is the best thing I could do is go to see that stadium, I guess, and taking a Patriots game. Not Patriots game, sorry, a Revolution game. Can you see Mbappe and Salah playing together? No. I don't think we can afford it. You know, I'd love to see it, but I don't think we can afford it. Hockey fights are fun to watch. Yeah. Do they still have goons in hockey? Is that still a thing? Where they have their hard bastards skating around just, you know, looking for a fight? I don't know if that's still a thing or not. I have watched, was it the Thrashers? Is that the ESPN 30 for 30, I think it was, or maybe it was Bad Sports or something, but there was a hockey team called the Thrashers that was basically, the guy that owned it was basically like Tony Soprano, in that I think he even owned a rubbish collection company or something. I remember watching a documentary about that once and just thinking it was pretty funny. What's with the city top? I get it every time I wear this colour blue, mate, and I hear you, but I also like the colour, particularly in this top. Who's the best club in the League of Ireland? Look, everybody has their favourites. Rover is probably the most supported, I would gather. I'm a Shelburne person. I won't say fan because that's unfair. I don't watch them enough, but they'd be the club I'd look out for. Am I going to go to a Treaty United game? Yeah, if I get a chance to go down to Limerick, mate, absolutely. Any news about Mbappe? Other than what we spoke about a few times, the stories in the media saying that Liverpool are a genuine option from... What's this one, actually? So on David Ornstein, this is what he was saying. He said, on the Salah, Virgil and Trent contracts, I don't think there was any movement on this before the end of 2023. The plan was always to address it in the new year. We're there now, so I would imagine some conversations will get going in due course. And I read a little bit more on what David Ornstein said there, and he was, of course, talking about the fact Mo's at the AFCON, so it'll be after he's finished there that Liverpool would probably look to have those conversations. What else was there? We've done the Mikel Antonio stuff. What's this? No, I've done that already. Sorry, I'm just checking through my notes to make sure I haven't missed that. Would I take Gordon from Newcastle? This is such a shithouse answer. Um, his face annoys me. He's a good footballer, but I don't know. I just get wound up even looking at him. I don't know why. I don't know if I just can't get past the Evertonian part of it, but same with Phil Foden. I get wound up looking at Phil Foden, but he's an incredibly good football player, but it just annoys me looking at him. I don't know why. I just think he always looks pissed off or something. Have I seen Jason Cundy talk about VVD? Yeah, I had a little rant about that earlier on, mate. And the best comment I seen in the chat when we talked about it earlier on is, "Who's Jason Cundy?" Which, I guess is the answer I like to hear back, because I don't have much time for Cundy. I don't have much time for TalkSport. I don't have much time for Danny Murphy talking shite on there either, talking about Liverpool, pleading with Liverpool to let Fulham win. I mean, some of these lads, honestly, I don't understand who TalkSport appeals to. They're baiting everybody non-stop, in my opinion, and they're just trying to rile people, and it does my head in. Yeah, I don't want to go into a big long rant about it, but TalkSport is everything I detest about content, radio, the world. Don't like it. Don't like a lot of the people involved in it. Don't like the rhetoric behind it. I feel like talk down. They know better, is what I'm saying. They know better than what they're doing. I've said this earlier on as well, that the only person I guess I would have a soft spot for that's on TalkSport is Darragh McAnthony. And, he sometimes occasionally fills in for Simon Jordan and stuff. And I really like Darragh. He's a lovely guy. Been very good to me as well, to be fair, Darragh McAnthony. Always giving me his time. And, I like him a lot. But it's not my thing. And thankfully, it's not on the radios really here in Ireland, so I don't have to look at it or listen to it. Is it possible that I can stay on longer? If people want me to. I mean, I'm enjoying tonight, having a bit of fun, but I also understand that people are like, "Dude, you're waffling." Will the cop stand ever be rebuilt with another tier? No. I can't see a world where the cop isn't a single tiered stand. Like, yes, for whatever about maybe the cop being redeveloped in the years to come, but you would imagine they'd look to do something like Spurs have done, that one like big single tiered stand. Now, development difficulties about the roads and stuff around and what's behind the cop is another conversation, but if they ever did renew it, or redevelop it, you would imagine they'd keep it as a single tier. It has to be. That's the intimidating, imposing part of it all. So yeah, look. You want more fans inside Anfield, and however they can make that happen, that's the way to go. But there's something beautiful about the cop being a single tiered structure. New NFL fan, any team to look out for players? Oh well, I've decided that I'm jumping on the Houston train, because CJ Stroud is somebody I've enjoyed watching, and I don't really know many Houston NFL fans, so I feel like it's the right club because I'm a bit of an oddball anyway. So I'm gone Houston. Also love the Packers. Feel like if I was to pick a club based off an affinity, I feel like I'd get on with fans or understand the city or whatever, I'd probably be Packers. But yeah, I like CJ Stroud and the way he's playing, and I can't wait. I mean, I've caught the NFL bug definitely in the last few years. Stefan by Bajcetic or Endo? The answer would have to be by Bajcetic because of the age and the potential and the years ahead of him. But the best answer I'm going to give you is that we don't have to choose because we've got them both, and that's a good thing. What do I think of... Who's that? I don't know who that is from Real Madrid, mate. Sorry. What about Chong from Luton Town? The former Manchester United player? No, I'd pass, thanks. What stand would you upgrade next? Well, it would have to be the Cop. Because the King Kenny, or the Centenary as it used to be known, that was, I think, not too long ago. So that's been upgraded. The main stand and any road end have been upgraded. So the Cop's the obvious answer. Would I take Victor Gyökeres? Is he the guy who used to be at Coventry? Where is he now? Sporting? Or I just know he's moved somewhere. His goal scoring record's great, but I don't know all that much about him, to be honest, so I probably wouldn't be able to give you a justifiable answer. So, yeah, sorry, I don't know enough about the kid. I think he meant Tchouaméni. If you're talking about Tchouaméni, I'd rather have Camavinga. If we're looking at a midfielder from Real Madrid in that area of the pitch, I think Camavinga's a better player. I think he's more well-rounded. I think he's more versatile. So, yeah, I'd rather him than Tchouaméni. Would you rather Mbappe or Bellingham? I answered this earlier on. Bellingham. You're my favourite YouTuber, best channel in the world. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate that. It's freaky to read stuff like that in a good way. Do I think Kanade will be a better player than BBD in the future? Oh. So I guess it depends on what you class as a better player. I think he'll have more silverware, more time at the very highest level. Will his very, very, very best ever be the same as Virgil van Dijk's very, very, very best? Maybe. But you also have to take into account how young he still is for a centre-back and how good he is at this age. So, potentially, I think he could. He could be better than Virgil van Dijk long term. But that more speaks to how highly we think of him now than talking negatively about Virg. Oh, it's a tough one, though. It is because he's so good at the age he's already at, like. Is it true we're linked with Patrick Bamford? I hope not. Look, let me say, I think Patrick Bamford looks like a lovely guy. Always comes across really well in interviews. Very well spoken. Really likeable fella. But he's riddled with injuries. And I don't think... I'd think of it as another Peter Crouch type signing. We probably like the guy a lot. He'd probably score some goals. But would he ever be the real calibre of Liverpool that we'd want? I think Crouchy was probably a better player in all honesty. But that goal he scored in the FA Cup recently, oh my God, against Peterborough. Oh, what a goal. That's a collector's item on that. Like, on the chest, turn, swivel, volley, beautiful. And I'm digging him with the blonde hair as well, by the way. I'm liking the bleached hair, but nah, I wouldn't want him at Liverpool. I cannot remember his name, but the kid from Leeds, hold midfield, looks tasty. Archie Gray, is that the guy you're on about? We talked about, who was asked that question? Adrian. I think it's Archie Gray you might be talking about. He's definitely earmarked for big things. What about Rafael Leao to Liverpool for Diaz swap? It wouldn't be a swap though. We'd end up having to put about 40 million on top. Let me say this though. I'd be far more open to Rafael Leao than Kvaratskhelia. I think he's far more consistent than Kvaratskhelia. But again, it's a step up to go from Serie A to the Premier League. And I think Leao looks comfortable and settled. And I think he signed a new deal, if I'm not mistaken, as well at Milan. Darwin equals Andy Carroll. Thoughts? That it's a lazy comparison. Darwin Núñez is not an Andy Carroll. Darwin Núñez needs to score more, but the numbers speak for themselves. When he's in the team, we win. When he's in the team, more often than not, he'll at least have an assist, and he creates space, and he's a pain in the arse for opposition defenders. So, look, I can't help but want Darwin Núñez to succeed in a big way. And I feel like the dude's going to have an exceptionally good second half of the campaign, and when he gets that one, it'll become a 2 and a 3, and he'll score in bunches because he's an exceptionally good player who is also exceptionally frustrating at times, but that's part of the charm for me. Doesn't mean I won't be screaming at him during games or telling him he's crap 1 minute and loving him the next minute. That's just the way I am, but ultimately I want him to succeed. Do you think Klopp will extend his contract? So I'm going to answer this question with no information about it whatsoever. I think he might, So, not knowing Jurgen Klopp, I do get the feeling that if he's enthused, if he's feeling energetic about it, if it's obviously okay with his family, if he's happy with where the club and the team is going, why not? I certainly know if he shows any indication that he would like to, the club would put the contract in front of him very quickly. I read a really good piece that suggested the club have always just wanted to be respectful to Jurgen and his family. And, whenever he shows an indication he'd like to continue the project, the new contract's usually put in front of him. So it's possible, but, 2.5 years still is a long time in football. So let's just wait and see what happens. Craig, if you watched the Madrid derby yesterday, you'll know Fede Valverde is by far Madrid's best midfielder. Well, I didn't watch it. I seen the highlights of it. And look, Valverde is an extraordinary player and very versatile as well, and somebody that I know Jurgen Klopp's definitely a fan of. But yeah, Madrid have got a great player in Fede Valverde, and I'm a fan, not of Madrid, but certainly of him. Do you think we're getting Chelsea in the finals again? Yes, but we are stone cold favourites. 8-15 on to win the Carabao Cup. I don't know the odds on Chelsea, but they were approaching 2-1 or something like that. And then it was 12-1 for Fulham and 12-1 for Middlesbrough. So the bookies certainly think Liverpool are going to win the League Cup, but there's still football left to be played. Here, Craig, people compared Saliba to VVD, and I thought that was mad, but Canade and Saliba is realistic. So somebody in our Discord earlier on actually did put in comparisons of Saliba and VVD, and if my memory is right, there was only one metric that Saliba was slightly better in than Virgil, and I think it was duels, if I'm not mistaken. I think Saliba was up at about 92%, duels won. But Virgil beat him in every other metric, some of them by a huge amount. So the Saliba comparison isn't a fair one. But also Saliba's only 22, so it probably shouldn't be a fair comparison because he's still got loads of development left to go. I didn't see the numbers for the comparison with Canade, although I think they were in the Discord group. But that feels like a far better comparison for me because, same age profile. But let me say this, Saliba is an incredibly good centre-back. Craig, would you rather Mbappe or Bellingham? We've done this question 3 times tonight. I've answered it 3 times tonight, and you've been the one asking it 3 times when I've answered it 3 times. Bellingham. Can normal members not join the Discord group? No. And I'll tell you why. Because a lot of people who get normal memberships are gifted them. And you can't gift ultra memberships. So it lets us know one or two things: that we have greater control over who comes into the Discord, because, you know, they themselves have bought their membership and it's easier to keep track of. Whereas if somebody comes in and gifts 50 memberships, by law of averages, 5 of them are going to be arseholes. And we've had that problem in the Discord before, and we deleted the Discord. So this time we've been far, because it's a great place. I love our Discord. It's full of really cool people, varying opinions. Occasionally somebody comes in, tries to blow it up and wreck it for the rest of us, or is duplicitous and starts trying to stab people in the back. But we usually get a control of the situation. So unfortunately, we're going to keep it as it is, because I like it the way it is. And it's my place to interact offline with people that I get on well with. I hope you don't think I'm being elitist or an arsehole by saying that, by the way. It's just, it sounds really weird, but it's like my little safe haven. Sent you the stat on WhatsApp. Thank you, Mark. So what's this one? Saliba. Oh, okay, so here's the comparisons between Saliba and Kanade. So Saliba better in duels won, very similar percentages in forward passes, presses very similar. Kanade is far better at carrying the ball. Aerial duels won, Kanade wins. Progressive passes, Kanade wins. Yeah, look, again, you can just see the what I would say about Saliba in all of these stats is he seems very limited to a certain subset of things that he does very well. Whereas if you look at the comparison for, say, Kanade, it's a wider range or more well-rounded defender. That could be the system and the way we play as well. But look, nobody's trying to say Saliba's not a good centre-back, but I feel like some Arsenal fans have got very ahead of themselves in recent times and very deluded in some of the comparisons, like Saka to Salah. Sorry, the dude isn't fit to lace his boots yet. He will be, and he'll become a great player, but he's not there yet. Same with the centre-back. Saliba will become a brilliant, and is already a very, very good centre-back. But the delusion and overhyping is weird sometimes. Hassan, I'm going to do a video for the team of the year, mate, but because I need to sit down and think about it a bit more. So look, folks, I'm going to call it a night. This has been one of my favourite streams, by the way, in a long time. So thank you all so much. It's been brilliant. Tomorrow, I will see you guys, same time, same place as well. 4 p.m, new show, 6:30 video, and 8:30 live stream. And also, don't forget to check out the Clips channel. You can see a link in the description, or just search Anfield Agenda Clips. But most importantly, thanks for being amazing people. Thanks for putting up with me. Thanks for believing in us. And thank you for your time. It really does mean a lot to me. And I will chat to you tomorrow.